Hi everyone, it's Roger and James here from the What's on Disney Plus podcast. This is episode number 94 and we are recording on the 19th of September 2020. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about everything that is going to be coming to Disney Plus in October. We'll be talking about our thoughts on the Mandalorian 2 trailer. We'll also be talking about new Mickey Mouse shorts and also our thoughts on the Becoming series plus much more. But before we go into any of that, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. If you haven't already done so, make sure you do subscribe to the audio platform. You'll find us on things like Apple. You'll also find us on Spotify. And as of yesterday, you should also find us now on Amazon Podcasts. So that's pretty cool if you're on there. You can also subscribe on YouTube, and we're just closing in on nearly 50,000 subscribers. So be sure to join us there. And also just a big thank you to our supporters of our What's on Disney Plus Club. You can do this either on Patreon or through YouTube membership. So I'm just going to do some shout outs now to all of our members. So first off, we've got Darren, Lauren, Jacob, Sarah, Giuseppe, What's on Netflix, Andrew and Julie on Patreon. So thank you for all of your support over there. While on YouTube, we've got Thornton, I've got no name, Poultry, Russell, Mike, Eddie, Jay, Joshua, Drew, Sarah and Adam. And again, just a big thank you for all of your support. It really makes a big difference. So let's jump into it. So James, there's been quite a bit of stuff revealed this week for what's coming in October. Shall we start the list?
It's quite a long list, but yeah, let's jump into it.
Let's jump into it. Let's get straight into it. So we're going to kick off. So this is based on the United States. So things will vary depending on other regions, and things might change, aka they might not turn up, and also they might add some more stuff, which they tend to do that now. That usually at the beginning of the month we get a few extra sort of things thrown at us. So moving on. So for Thursday, October the 1st. You get Maleficent. Always a good kickoff to I don't know why they do that. They did the same thing with Cinderella this month, just like have it out on its own rather than move it. But nevertheless, you get Maleficent. And then Friday, October the 2nd, you get Beverly Hills Chihuahua, Cheaper by the Dozen 2, Mr. Holland's Opus, which I've never seen. I don't know if I've ever seen that one.
I saw it back in high school, and I remember it being really good, kind of a little tear jerky towards the end, but solid.
Yeah, I think something about an orchestra at high school was just like, yeah, that's not what
I
did.
Yeah, I watched it in high school orchestra, so, you know.
Yeah. I was not musically talented to go into the orchestra.
I am not musically talented at all, and that didn't stop me, although it probably should have. I think my music teacher would have appreciated it if I had not.
Anyway. From there, we got Secrets of the Zoo Down Under, season 1. And then the big one is season 31 of The Simpsons. Again, that one's a good one. That one looks like it's just the US. I know on the UK and the Netherlands list that hasn't yet shown up. Then we're getting an extended version of Zenomation. I think basically what they're just doing is they're just merging all of them into one big long video. So you can just relax with it rather than watching 3 minutes and then having to hit the next button.
Yeah, that was my read on it too. I wish they would do a proper extended edition of it, though. Even if it was just the 3 minutes looped over and over again, hopefully with a clean transition between the loops. Yeah, that would be better, because there's only like 8 of them. Even if you put them all together, you've got half an hour. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you kind of need it on, at least couple hours so if you can get some sleep or something. So that's always a nice one. Then we're going to be getting the second episode of Disney's The Magic of Disney's Animal Kingdom, One Day at Disney. And I'm going to say One Day at Disney we've got every week. We'll just do that one. And the same thing for Weird But True. We're going to have new episodes every week for that one. And the same thing with The Magic of Disney's Animal Kingdom. We'll have new episodes of them each week on the Friday. So we'll just get rid of them straight off the bat. Friday, October the 9th. We're going to be getting the Chronicles of Narnia, the Voyage of the Dawn Trader, or Trader. I don't know.
I think it's been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah, I've never seen that one. I think I've only seen the first of the Chronicles movies. I don't remember the second, and I certainly didn't know the third one. And then we got Oil Spill of the Century, which was I think supposed to come out yesterday, but that one didn't, so they've pushed that one back. Followed by Wild Portugal. And then we're going to get X2, the X-Men movie. Again, some of these movies are already available internationally, like Maleficent and X2. Then we're getting, I know this one's going to be a big one, I think, for us. It's going to be The Right Stuff. We're getting 2 new episodes of the
Well,
right
it's not
stuff.
just 2 new episodes, the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, the first 2 episodes, they'll be dropping. Then each coming Friday after that, we'll have new episodes. This is an eight-part series, so that'll be running right through to like mid-November. I'm really looking at this. I know you're interested in space, but for me, it's just like this is a high-quality drama that I want to watch, and this is what, in some ways, it feels like it's the first real thing, if like the first proper live-action drama series that we've had Star Wars and all the rest of it, but this is not High School Musical. It's not. It's so aimed that you could put on in front of my parents and they wouldn't even know it was from Disney Plus, kind of thing.
Right. I think that's the key identifier. If you put it on in front of someone, would they know it's Disney Plus? You put on Diary of a Future President. Like, you may not know it's specifically Disney, but you're like, yeah, this is that kind of show.
Yeah. So that was looking pretty cool. Then from there, we are moving on to Friday, October the 16th. We'll be getting the first season of Disney Junior's The Rocketeer. So that one's just ended up on the Disney Channel, so that'll be moving on there. We're getting Drain Season 3, Lost on Everest, which I think has picked up a few different awards and stuff. Then you're getting Marvel's Iron Man and Captain America Heroes United, which is an animated series, or animated movie. Followed by Clouds, a brand new Disney Plus original movie. Followed by, as I said, the normal episodes. And there's also be a brand new series called Meet the Chimps, where we'll be getting 6 episodes, all filmed at a chimp haven in Louisiana, and with over 300 chimpanzees, 6-part series. Again, all of them dropping on the same day. It's I don't know what are they doing over there? Like,
I would
go weekly.
I would just like some consistency, or at least to know what their guidelines are. But with the exception of the right stuff, it does seem like National Geographic stuff are full drop. Right stuff and the Animal Kingdom one. Sorry.
Yeah. It's very straight. It's. I'm starting to worry about the fact of what I do with a drop. It's like it's not as good as anything that drops weekly, and it's starting to feel like that kind of thing of, they drop the stuff weekly when they don't think there's going to be that audience for. I don't know. Just that's how it's starting to feel. Just.
It does feel that way, although we did see that the Big Fib got renewed for another season, I believe.
Yeah, that's
so
next week, on the next week.
Right, we'll talk about that very, very quickly. But the fact that it's getting a second one, if I remember correctly, it had a full drop all at once. It does not mean it's a death sentence for the series. I do agree with you. It does tend to mean that Disney probably doesn't have as much faith in it.
It's kind of funny as well, I think, with the Meet the Chimp ones, because originally I think this was supposed to be a summer show, but I think it got pushed back a bit. But the good thing, I think, with these zoo ones, and I really like them, things I tend to like, but they're also, I would imagine, is that even in like the current situation, they're still going to be able to be filmed. They're still running, they're still operating, and now they have a whole new story they can talk about, because I know our local zoo is having issues. But yeah, these kind of shows I think are very good. So Meet the Chimps, 6 episodes, going to be narrated by Jane Lynch, who's from Glee and also Wreck-It Ralph. So that one's always I'm really looking. And 6 episodes, probably about right. Probably about right on that one.
We'll see. Yeah. I think 6 episodes for something focused on a single animal type or a single animal family is a bit much. But then on the other hand, we got like 8 seasons of Meerkat Manor or something like that. So it can be done.
Yeah, so that one looks pretty cool. And then moving on from there, Friday, October the 23rd, getting Gathering Storm, Season 1. India from Above, Season 1. Now, interesting thing, that one, though, was again supposed to have dropped this week, or this month, but it got pushed back. Same thing with Marvel Superhero Adventure Short, Season 4. That was supposed to have been this month. That was supposed to have been yesterday. So they did push a few things back. The thing is with the India from Above, they did drop, I think, China and Europe yesterday. So I don't know what's going on with them. They're all over the place. But then getting Pompeii, Secrets of the Dead, and then Ultimate Viking Sword, and a few National Geographic stuff. Followed by Once Upon a Snowman, which is a new Frozen short. Then, as I said, we're getting 15 new episodes of The Big Fib. Now, the question is this was a 30 season... Was this 30 episode season, and then they split it into 2 to I turn it in, because that's how it's feeling. Unless they were able to keep filming or do something with it, I don't know. It kind of feels like maybe did they slice the season in half, because to do 38 episodes, quite a lot.
Yeah, and unless they come out and tell us, we won't really know. But I could also see a situation where they're like, this is something that's very easy for us to make in the current conditions. We can keep people, separated fairly easily. It's cheap to make. We need content.
Yeah.
Greenlit second season.
Yeah.
So we'll find out, I guess.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I think this kind of thing is what we're going to see a lot more, especially in the coming year ahead. And then from there on, we move on to Friday, October the 30th, the season 1 of The Owl House, which is one I'm personally really interested in watching because I've heard a lot about it. There's been a lot of controversy over it. There's been a lot of people saying how great it is. So I want to see that for myself. And then we're going to be getting Sorcerer's Apprentice, X-Ray Earth season 1, which again should have been arriving on Disney Plus yesterday, but it's been pushed back. And then the big one, The Mandalorian season 2 premiere, chapter 9. We're back in the saddle with Mando, and we might as well just jump straight into the trailer talk. What did you think of that trailer that they dropped this week?
I thought it was a good trailer. It really doesn't give away much. It's just kind of a nice little reminder. Hey, this is The Mandalorian. Here's some things that happened last season without going into detail.
Yeah.
This is the date it drops. Be there. And frankly, that's all you need for The Mandalorian. I know we'll probably get another trailer later, which will go into more depth about what to expect. But I might skip that one if we do get one, in favor of just going in as blind as possible to season 2.
Yeah, I mean, I thought with the trailer itself, I was really... It's more of it. It's just more Mandalorian. We're seeing him with Baby Yoda. There was a little bit where was it Sasha Banks, who is a WWE superstar. She stare with a robot, and I think a lot of us probably for a second thought that it was Ahsoka because of the way that she was. It was only really then we kind of went, oh no, that wasn't her. That was Sasha Banks. Of course, those of us with our wrestling, knowledge was like, that's not that, and they were like, we instantly picked up on it because there have been rumors that she was in it. So they didn't really tease too much of where the series was going. It's just kind of more the same, but it also is showing that it's much more part of the larger Star Wars. We've got X-Wings in there. We've got TIE fighters. We're seeing that, and Stormtroopers and Scout Troopers and all that kind of stuff. So it's starting to feel more like this is Star Wars. Whereas the first season didn't really give that vibe off, did it?
Not in the beginning. Or let me walk that back a little. It did and it didn't. It felt like it was in the Star Wars universe. Like especially that first episode, they had the monkey lizard and all sorts of references where you go, oh, that looks like the scene from here, and that looks like the scene from here. But unlike a lot of the other Star Wars stuff that we've got, the books, games and such like that, there wasn't much connection to the larger universe. You never had Luke Skywalker showing up. You didn't have familiar aliens or anything like that, which I kind of appreciated, to be honest. Yeah. But then you got to the end of the season, episode 7 and 8, the combined second final episode. That felt like Star Wars. You had the Stormtroopers, you had Moff Gideon showing up, you had the TIE battle.
Yeah,
that was great. And I agree with you on this. What little we've seen in this trailer gives off vibes of those particular episodes rather than kind of the build-up episodes of 1 through 6.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just really looking forward to it. This is going to be the big one to watch. This is going to be drawing everybody in because there's been a lot of people saying about the October list of kind of saying there's not a huge amount on there, and I'm kind of going, well, the thing is with Mandalorian is the kind of the key aspect here to keep people subscribed right through October through to December. We know that that's going to work. And I don't know, I think at the minute we're in a weird situation where Disney are going to have to cling on to and stretch out what they have got much more going into the next 6 months to the next year because I was listening to it the other day and they were sort of talking about how we haven't really got into the lull of what's gone wrong with the, obviously like Falcon and the Winter Soldier is still filming. But we actually haven't really even got to that point where we're starting to run out of content that they didn't film because, I'm watching, for example, a new drama series called Des on ITV. Well, this was all filmed way before sort of last winter. and it's just dropping onto TV now. So we're still getting shows a year later. I think we're going to really start feeling it January, February, March, of when we've got nothing. All the new stuff is kind of dried up because of the lockdown from months ago. I mean, a lot of people, we don't understand quite often like how long that effect is going to have, and I think we're going to start seeing Disney having to use that library content to build up, especially in like December, January, February, to move forward.
Yeah, the closest thing we have to that was the writer's strike many years ago. The one that impacted a number of shows. A lot of shows got canceled because the writers were gone. I remember shows like Pushing Daisies and so on. And you didn't feel it immediately. The writers went on strike, but television continued because it had already been created and directed and finished. And it wasn't until several months after that where you're like, we have a lot of reality shows, we've got a lot of game shows, and we don't have very much scripted drama. And yeah, it's very much a delayed effect. And I think it's going to be even worse this time around, not because of the amount of time, but because so many of the shows that we really enjoy have a lot of special effects in them. They have a lot of post-processing work done to them, especially when we're talking about the Disney shows, the Marvel shows, the Star Wars shows. You can't just put 3 people in a room and make a Star Wars show. It's going to have a whole team of people doing special effects and adding lightsabers and blasters and starships and everything. And yeah, next year, especially maybe the first half of the year, I'm actually thinking like all the way through June, is going to be pretty barren.
And also, the thing is, for example, like over here in Europe, we're now going into the second wave, and therefore, there's talk of more restrictions, whether or not they shut down productions and stuff again. But we're going into, things can all start unraveling again. It's not a case of everything just, it's all starting to slide back to normal. Over here in Europe, it's not. Things are starting to go back to what we were seeing back at the beginning of the year. And that could all have an impact as well on what's being filmed. I mean, right now we know they're filming in a number of locations. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which has managed to get in most of it. We've also got, I think, up in Canada, you've got like the Mighty Duck series and a few, and like the Turner and Hooch. Stuff is filming. I think here in the UK they're still filming stuff, but they're all having to film much slower because of the social distancing and everything. But yeah, so I think we are gonna see it, and I'm pretty sure that's why Disney are kind of holding stuff back. They did a bit of a weird release for this, because normally we get this release for everything that's coming out in the week, but the day before that they put out like a short little trailer and showcased everything coming in the fall, which kind of runs into November. And the good thing in that one there was that it confirmed that WandaVision is going to be a 2020 fall. Oh, at least the thing is with fall, and this is where I did have someone on the comment go, well, December's not fall. It's like, well, if they go with the astrological version of fall, winter doesn't start to the 21st of December. So they could slide that one in right into like December, as which I'm expecting them to do with The Mandalorian. But at least we know WandaVision is coming this year. We are going to get some MCU content, at least if it's just one episode.
Well, we're getting that, and then we're also getting 616, I think. So that's not proper content, not in the way that WandaVision or Winter Soldier would be, but it is content. But obviously, WandaVision is the draw.
Yeah. So WandaVision obviously we are going to be getting that one. They've shown they will. I had a feeling this was going to be the case because they'd already they finished most of the filming anyway, and so that one's good. So we definitely know that one's coming. A few other bits and pieces that they kind of were showing off in the short, a few movies and stuff, but nothing more than what we've gone through the list, because it's pretty much just going to be the right stuff and The Mandalorian probably rolling right through November, which personally, for me, 2 big space dramas, fine with me. That sounds like a good month.
Oh yeah, I'm perfectly fine with them releasing those in October, and I'm perfectly fine just rewatching them on through like April and May next year, because we might have to.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So they also announced a brand new short for the Mickey Mouse shorts. So that's going to be renamed to The Wonderful World of Mickey Mouse. So they do this sometimes. This is probably pretty much season 6 of Mickey Mouse shorts, but they've rebranded it, put it onto Disney Plus with 10 episodes. With more, they have another 10 episodes set to come in summer 2021. The first episode will be dropping out on November the 18th, which is Mickey Mouse's birthday. And then there'll be 2 episodes dropping every Friday from November the 27th. So that'll be a nice little shorts. Again, great stuff. This is where we're starting to see that shift over to starting to move some of the content over from the channels. And so, yeah, I really like this shorts. We've talked about it before. They've got a very unique art style. These ones are going to be a bit more theme park based as well. That's going to be something that they'll be doing, which I think is good. More theme park stuff is always great. And I think this kind of also like ties in with a little bit of news with like the UK. I'm just going to run through a few things that was happening on the UK list for October while we're going through it, because obviously Disney channels are all shutting in the UK at the end of the month, so therefore that's like shifting up, and we're starting to see what's happening out in Australia, for example. In the UK on the 2nd of October, we're getting Upside Down Magic, and we're finally getting Onward. That's pretty good. And Penny on Mars season 3 and Primeval Survivor. And other than that, like we're getting like the Rocketeer and the Owl House at the same time as the US. But there's the other, like we're getting like Rio 2, for example, in the middle of October. But not a huge list yet for the UK, but compared to the US, it's all that National Geographic stuff we're not seemingly getting. But I think we're going to start seeing the Disney Channel stuff arriving much quicker in the UK now, that with those channels closing down.
Yeah, and it would be nice if they popped in a little quicker on the American side as well, but we do already have a lot of the content. Thinking mostly of Owl House. I realize we just talked about that because it is coming in October, but the TV run, at least of season 1, ended August?
Yeah, it's usually it's usually about 4 to 8 weeks after they air, they arrive on Disney Channel, which I'm hoping they changed and make a change this going forward, but I don't know. Moving on from there, because that's kind of we've run through some of the bits and pieces. A few other little stories. There's apparently a new documentary series being filmed at a Dutch football club called Feyenoord. And you know, I imagine how many times I've had to try and say that one. So they've been filming it for the last few weeks, following the Dutch football team in Rotterdam, and they apparently paid out €3 million to film it there. And it might be split up into 2 bits because of the winter break that they have. But I think that could be quite interesting for soccer fans, football fans, because internationally, obviously, football is massive and a big audience. A lot of football fans questioning why that club and not somebody else. I'll be honest, I know next to nothing about football. And I was like, okay, that sounds good, because they've got a show on Netflix. There's a Sunderland show, and there's another one on Amazon about another club. So it makes sense to follow in. There's a lot of interest in sport, and this could be an interesting thing.
It could absolutely be an interesting thing. I think it'll draw in a large international audience. Not sure how well it'll do in the States, but I'm perfectly fine with that. Yeah. They need to be treating this as an international platform, and that means not all the content has to be American-centric. That said, we don't know how this is being filmed and what angle they're taking with it, what kind of story they're telling with it, why they picked the Dutch team. No offense at all to the Netherlands. It's just a very odd choice.
Well, the only thing I could think of is whether or not they're going to move, if this could become something that they can just keep doing, but keep changing club like each season, follow a different club each time. I don't know.
Certainly.
And the other I was going to say, the only thing is with this is it does help towards the European quota. So that's the other side of things. That's what I'm thinking of. Like, they need to do they need to have some original content in Europe to count towards the European quota. So doing a few shows like this could be an advantage for them to kind of. And also, the football thing is it's good for the club, because obviously they've been hit with having no matches for some of the part of the year, and now they're kind of running their matches with hardly any spectators. So this is good revenue for them to kind of, because I know a lot of like clubs and stuff are going to be really struggling with no spectators and events and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'm actually kind of hoping that there will be some nice shots of the Netherlands in general. I haven't been there, and this might be kind of a nice way to see some of the countryside through a football documentary.
Well, we're not going to be traveling anywhere to go and see anything at the minute, so that's
no. I actually would like to visit the Netherlands, though.
Yes,
but not right now, obviously.
No, not right now. No. Also, they were apparently making a new movie based around a youth orchestra in Los Angeles. That one's in the early talks that they're going through. And yeah, that's just, again, something a bit different. This is always a kind of weird thing of whenever these kind of things come out about anything like non-franchise, non-brands and stuff, of quite often the interest in it is not huge, but hopefully when we eventually see these movies, things will kick in. There's things like clouds and things like that once they drop onto the system, everyone gets a little bit more excited about what they are. But yeah, so that essentially just looking there, we've ran through those ones quite quickly, but because it's kind of one of those weird things. It was a big week for news, but they were all like very, very, very small tidbits rather than anything massive. Moving on from there, we had the new season of Becoming dropped onto Disney Plus yesterday. 10 episodes where they kind of look at how a number of celebrities kind of who they become, how they get there, talking to teachers, coaches, etc. like that. I did have access to 3 episodes a little bit early, so I did do a video earlier in the week and review of the 3 episodes I saw. I'll be honest, when I sat down last night, I went, you know what, no, I didn't. I'd rather play Avengers for half an hour instead. I was just like, yeah, the season really didn't pull me in enough that I might watch the episodes and stuff. But what did you think of the 2 that you watched?
So I watched, as you said, 2 of them. I watched the one on Caleb Mclaughlin, who was Simba on Broadway and in Stranger Things over on Netflix. Yeah. And then the following one, which was, I'm going to butcher the name probably, Colby Calais?
Oh, yeah. Because I remember I didn't know who she was, and then I looked
I didn't have a clue.
And she had a bit of a hit. I think it was Bubbly or something. And I remember the song, but here in the UK, she's literally, I don't think she even made the top 40. And I think when I had a look to see, like, was this a big hit in the UK? Like, nothing at all. And it was a bit like, okay, that was quite a reach. But what was the episode like?
The episode itself was boring. Now I'm going to talk specifically about the Colby one, because I actually had a different reaction to the Caleb one. The problem was that they never really talked about any of the problems that she faced. They mentioned briefly she tried out for American Idol in one of the early seasons and got rejected before even getting onto the television portion. So she never showed up on TV. But they just brushed past it really fast. Like, oh yeah, she tried out for American Idol and didn't make it. Like, that's all you're going to tell us about it. And then they tried to make the focus of the episode the fact that she didn't have much of a stage presence. She was very, not anxiety. Yeah. She had stage fright. She did not want to perform. And she was having,
bit of a problem with a song.
Yeah, exactly. And she went on her first tour and she was having problems with it. And you're like, okay, so there's narrative tension here. I realize we're talking about real people. I shouldn't be using things like narrative tension, and then they're like, well, so she hired a coach and the coach helped her get over it. And that was the end of the story. And I'm like, okay. And the rest was just, she's an amazing singer. She has these hit songs. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Absolutely nothing against her personally at all. I don't know her music either, but I realize it's popular. Just the way that they made this particular episode was completely dull. There's no tension in it. There's no this is the path or the things that you have to do to become famous, because it's called Becoming. It's about how they become famous. And her path was literally just like, I started singing. People liked what I sang, and I earned some Grammys. I'm like, that helps literally no one. Unless your father is a music producer, which hers was.
Oh, right. I see. Yeah. So,
okay. Yeah. So, which actually, at least based on the way they were talking, like, he didn't push her into it. She discovered it herself, but it was still that nice little avenue that he had the contacts.
Well, there's that thing, isn't it? Of that thing of like, if she didn't have those contacts, she probably wouldn't have been able to have
Except her fame came from MySpace. So she actually managed to do it largely without his contacts. But, she also grew up in the environment surrounded by music, which is very different and so on. But they didn't really explore that very much. No. They're just like, she got popular on MySpace and then she had a record and then she went touring. On the flip side, Caleb Mclaughlin was a fascinating story, I thought, because they talked about, his early life in the very first play he was in, like when he, first or second grade. And,
isn't he 10 in here?
Well, no, this wasn't The Lion King. This was like the school play that every kid goes through at some point. And apparently he just like froze on stage and he hated it. He's like, no. And then he saw The Lion King on Broadway and he was like, I want to do that. And they actually talked about all the things that he had to do to make that dream come true, to prepare for the audition, for the skills he had to learn, for the lessons he had to take, the people he had to learn from. And then after The Lion King, like, oh yeah, well, he went on to Stranger Things. Nice Lion King, Stranger Things. But he talked about all the struggles and how many rejection letters he got trying to break into television and how much of a struggle and, how he felt about it. And the entire episode, I was like, they're chronicling the struggles. They're showing how he overcame them. This is what becoming should be about.
Yeah, I think that one's on my kind of to maybe watch. So I'll definitely have to check that one out because I didn't even know he was in The Lion King. And I've seen the stage show a couple of times and it's an amazing thing, but I just thought Stranger Things. But there is a kind of thing of like becoming and but he's only like what 15, 16, something like that. So it kind of like they've only just recently happened and he kind of became a child. I don't know. So, but I watched the Rob Gazetsky one, who was a football person.
Gronkowski.
Yeah, I don't know. And it
just
means
it's easier.
To be honest, this is what I've said before, and I said it in review. The list that they gave was rather bad. I'll be honest. It's very US centric. You ask if I was to literally put this list in front of pictures of them in front of my parents, I don't know if they would know a single person. If I put this in front of my co-workers, I don't think they would know them. I think they might recognize the guy from Stranger Things, but they just wouldn't know any of these people. And therefore, instantly, you've got a problem because it does for a show about celebrities. If you've got they in the US, it's very different. I know because I've seen the difference, but I've seen quite a few people go, "Who are all these people?" And it's again, I think if you pull that away from it, as someone that kind of, I keep up with, celebrity culture. I watch, I keep up with E! News and all the bits and pieces, and I know, I recognize the faces of these people, but it was like this is not good for an international platform, and they're really going to have to work on that.
Yeah, but I don't hold that against this one at all. Having just come off of like they need to recognize they're an international platform and they need international content. Sometimes that means that the content is going to be region specific. If they start releasing Bollywood shows on Disney Plus, I would not expect it to get a whole lot of traction, but at the same time, I would like to have it, even though it's really Indian regional. And in the same vein, this one, okay, it's American centric. It was very clearly made to be American centric. I don't think this was even originally supposed to be a Disney Plus. This was one of the things that they picked up. Like, we need content, throw it on here right now. So I don't hold that against them. However, if they do a season 2, and they haven't already started that, they absolutely do need to look at that as an international. But season 1 wasn't designed that way. It wasn't advertised that way.
Because the thing is, for me, with the international side of things, it's not even just a case of getting people that are known in other countries. It's more about just getting the fact that get some Americans that people actually know about internationally. The celebrity list is, I would say, Z list. They've gone really, they've gone to the thing of there's not a lot of big names here. There's not a lot of well-known names. Like I said, I feel it was a bit like, it almost kind of that feels that same way of what happened with Earth to Ned. where half the people were like, you really like scraping the barrel of how many. So yeah, you get the odd good name come. You know, it's like here, if we had like Lando, you know, if he was doing an episode in this, it would have been instantly like, here's someone big and a bigger name, someone that's recognized in a big franchise. Because there's nobody from Marvel, there's nobody from Star Wars, there's nobody from there's not even like a Disney prince. You know, they didn't even like hit. It went for like people that are on ESPN and ABC. I don't know. It's like they didn't even really hit their own big stars up. They kind of just went very strange list.
Well, but again, this wasn't made by Disney. It was something they snatched up. It was made by LeBron James.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, you know, you mentioned the Z list or the Z list, depending on if you're American or not. I wouldn't even consider it that, because that would imply they're all on the same list, and they're not. You can't put an NBA star on the same list as a Grammy singer, as a couple comedians, as a WNBA, maybe NBA and WNBA, but that's about it. You've got Gronk, who's on NFL. You've got Broadway stars. They're drawing from so many different lists, and honestly, I don't know enough about these subjects to be able to tell you. But I can tell you, Gronkowski, that's an A list on the NFL list.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that Anthony Davis is A-list on the NBA side. Can't speak to most of the other ones on here, but so yeah, in terms of like overall celebrity rankings, you're not looking at Tom Cruise or Robert De Niro or even someone like Mark Hamill, or you're looking very far down the list. But on their individual lists, they're very high up there.
Yeah, I think it's that thing for me of like, again, I think if all 10 of these people walked into like onto my cafe and sat down, would I recognize it? I think I might have recognized Adam Devine, and that's what I'm talking about. If that thing of going, that would be my problem with a series of celebrities. To just go, if I don't recognize them, it kind of throws a problem. And that's just it's that thing of, again, if I was in out in America, I might be more aware of. It's like if one of the dancers from Dancing. You've got like, obviously she did Dancing with the Stars, so that's massive. So if one of the dancers off of Strictly Come Dancing was on this show, I'd know who she was and what she does and everything with it. But that's, again, for you to have that, you would have that exact same problem. And then I go, well, who's this? Oh, she's a dancer on a British TV show. You'd be like, well, who is she? And that's, again, that one at least I could understand and I could see where that one came from. But that was my one thing. And I did, like I said, I watched 3 episodes. I do question. It was a bit like, why are they giving us all the sports people the worst ones? Of like, okay, right, you've given a Brit about 2 people that Brits have never heard of. It was like not the best picks of it.
Right. And I think if they had advertised it as an international release, then that would be far more of an issue. This is not designed for British audience. It's not designed for French audience, Dutch, Indian, this is very much American-centric programming. And if they go with season 2, I agree that it needs to broaden. And honestly, I think one of the strengths of Becoming is that wide variety, that fact that maybe you're a sports fan and you know who Anthony Davis is, and maybe you know Candace Parker and Rob Gronkowski, but you don't know who Adam Devine or Caleb. This has such a wide range that you can go into this and learn something new, not just about the people, but the industries they're in. And if you added the international flavor, let's bring the Netherlands football team into here, bring one of their guys in there. Potentially, there's a lot to learn there. If it's done right.
This series has a lot of potential. It has a lot of potential to grow. I enjoyed the Ashley Tisdale one because, to be honest, I didn't really know anything about her. I knew she was in High School Musical, and that was about it. And so I did enjoy that episode, and that was one of the 3 that I enjoyed watching. And I do think that you're right. There's so much scope for this series, so much use for them to be able to stretch it out, kind of bring in people from different things. However, I do think discoverability is going to be the problem, because it's going to be hard to, if you are interested in, one of these people, how are you going to find out about it, and how are you going to check it? Because you click on that link and then you're going to get the people that you can click into it. You almost feel like, had they been separate specials, it would be easier for people for people to. I don't know. It's the kind of thing of like there's so much potential for this series to be a big draw for Disney Plus, an easy show for them to make, an easy show to bring people in, and it's going to appeal to different audiences. And and it isn't going to be. I think it's a full-on cherry pick series. You know, you jump in and out depending on who you like and who you've heard of, and I think that's good. And it's just happened to be that for this particular one, the cherry, I didn't pick very many of them.
Well, you had them cherry picked for you. I at least got to pick from all 10. But yeah, I have to agree. This is not a must-watch series, and I think, if you're a big NBA fan, you maybe want to check out the Anthony Davis one. He probably has some nice insight into that. I thought the Caleb one was really interesting. If you're into Stranger Things, check that out. But I would encourage, you bop in and you get Anthony Davis. Try out one of the other ones. See something new for a little bit. But it's also not a huge priority. It's not the one that you put to the top of the list. It's kind of the one that you're like, browsing on the couch with your wife, significant other, maybe the kids or whatever, and like, oh yeah, this looks decent and safe, and
Anything else you've been watching on Disney Plus this past week?
I started up Tangled, actually. I started with the movie, which I'd already seen, and I quite like. Mother Gothel is one of my favorite villains of the modern Disney era. And then I started the television series. There was a movie in front of that as well, too. I remember watching like the first episode or two when they first popped on TV, and it's like, oh yeah, I remember it was fun and had some music in it. So I've watched the movie, the television intro movie, and then the first 3 episodes of the television series. Sorry, Phineas and Ferb fans, I kind of put that one on the back burner for a little while. I did enjoy it, but it's hard to get into.
Yeah, I did a few episodes more of Once Upon a Time, because obviously that's available everywhere now, so that's a good thing for everyone to jump into. So I'm slowly making my way through season 1. Watching something else, which I can talk about next week, but it's that kind of thing of Becoming was the main one that I watched like the 3 episodes on the Monday last week. And just during the week, it's been a bit of it's kind of one of those things of like looking on there to see what's on. And a bit like, yeah, okay. It's like, I ended up watching like some of Lone Ranger because that was on. So I was like, I'll just put that one on. It's like, it came on TV and I went, you know what? I'll just flick over to Disney Plus and watch it over there. But I don't know why. It was one of those things that it reminded me that it was on there. But yeah, so it's kind of interesting to see all these different things dropping on there. So let's jump into our new segue, which is going to be the what's trending to finish up. So as per usual, we got the Simpsons, Mickey Mouse, Clubhouse, Moana, and Frozen, and Phineas and Ferb out the top 5. The Mandalorian has jumped right up into number 6, and followed by Jessie, Frozen, Toy Story 4, and Avengers Endgame. Moving on from there, we got Clone Wars, Hamilton, Aladdin, Coco, Toy Story, Zootopia, Coco, Mulan, Incredibles 2, Cars, Puppy Dog Pals, Black Panther, Monsters Inc., and The Lion King. So very, very safe with lots of the same movies. Nothing much moving there at all. Nothing I'm like nope, there's nothing new, nothing interesting. Christopher Robin and Cinderella and all that lot seem to have dropped straight back out of the charts again. That's always the thing usually you find with these movies and stuff, they drop in. I'm not expecting Becoming to arrive on that list. Interesting to note, Mulan has dropped right out of that list, the new version anyway. Was highly surprised.
Yeah, I suspect that there was a lot of initial sales on it, but it was not going to maintain. You either bought it at the beginning or you weren't going to buy it all and you're going to hold out to December.
There was some interesting things with that now, that apparently a number of reports are putting it that it might have pulled in 200 plus million at the US box office. Or it's done really badly in China, but according to a lot of stats, they're guessing at around about 29% of people purchased it in the US, and they've estimated about 9 million, because Disney hasn't released any numbers on this, and we probably won't find that out till November financial results, which is kind of like a weird thing. If it was really popular, they would have told everybody, but there's also that other counter argument. They go, well, maybe they were onto something, and they go, actually, no, we're not going to tell them, because we're going to be doing this with the old, because if we tell them it's good, then everyone's going to expect Black Widow and Soul and whatever's going on with them. And they're pushing it that it was 200, maybe 300 million pull in, plus all the box office. And they're kind of saying, if that had been released at the cinema and it pulled in that amount, it would have been like up there with Avengers Infinity War. It would have been a massive success, because everyone's kind of quick to there's a lot of people, 80% of Disney Plus subscribers haven't brought it, but 10 to 20% of 60 million is a lot of people.
But it's not an apples to apples comparison either, because there's a very big difference between buying it and watching it at home and having to make the trek to the theaters, especially in the current. Let's ignore COVID for the moment. Assume things were normal. On opening weekend, there's a lot of people who won't go the first week because it's going to be crowded. It's a kids movie, so there's going to be a lot of kids there. And so you probably wouldn't see these numbers in that first weekend. No. But what you would see instead of what we're seeing now is it would continue to bring in money. It might stay at number one for a little while, depending on, what other releases pop out. But even if it's at 2 or 3, it's going to be pulling in a decent amount of money each week for a month and a half, give or take. And it would probably pull in more long-term than it would have over this weekend. So, but
it's like Onward has been in cinemas over here, because obviously it's only arriving in the UK in a couple of weeks. But that's been like the number 2 or 3 movie the whole time through summer, while the cinemas reopened back in July. And so that's been pulling money in. And I think that, again, like you say, of how well is it pulling in. But when they were comparing everything to like Tenet, which only pulled in 20 million in the US, I think, over the first opening weekend, that's a massive difference between maybe 200 million and 20 million. And they needed like 500 million to kind of, it's very, we'll find out the numbers soon, but there's been a lot of stuff being battered about the fact of how Mulan's been a lot, but there's also a lot of stuff going on. Well, actually, that's the big number, but Disney aren't saying anything about it. And I think at the minute, they're probably best off just leaving that well alone and just like letting whatever's going on with Mulan happen. But if it does well, I wouldn't be, there's, Soul is up there for Thanksgiving. We've got Black Widow, which is still going for that November slot, because now Wonder Woman has moved back to Christmas. Because I think the next big movie out is Black Widow, which is the first or second week of November in the US. I think it's the end of October here. I'll be honest, looking at what's happening here in Europe, it ain't gonna be doing very well over here, because we're likely to all be shutting everything back down again. So yeah, it's gonna be tricky.
I don't want to talk about what's going on over here.
Yeah, what happens in November over there, we do not go anywhere near with a 25-foot barge boat. I want to keep that Atlantic, but I think as far as like just moving forward, I think we are just going to have to see how Disney Plus does with Mulan, and we'll find it out over the winter. But things are definitely going to be changing. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up today's show?
I think that's probably going to be the theme on the trending tab for the next couple of weeks. We're not going to see any big changes. The right stuff will probably make a splash when it pops on. Whether or not it stays, different matter. The only change I really think is going to happen is the Mandalorian is going to move up. And I'm not talking about the end of October. I'm talking about leading up to October as people start rewatching it. I have already started rewatching it and to get ready for season 2.
Yeah, it's probably not a bad idea, actually. And also, Disney Plus launched in 8 European countries this past week. So that'll also boost up the numbers. But they're still getting the episodes dropping week. I think there's 2 a week dropping right through till it's still even. Yeah, we know you've had to wait, nearly a year, but we're still going to make you wait for more. It's like, even I'm going, really? It's like you've got Mandalorian coming in like 6 weeks time. Why are you making them do this? Just give it. It's like, when it launches in Latin America, they're going to do this. It's like, no, just let them catch up and be up to speed.
I don't get it. It
just
let them watch it.
It just feels like, yeah, okay. I mean, it was bad enough doing it to us in the UK back in March. But doing it now, of like in September, is like, come on. I mean, anyone that was a real Star Wars fan has probably already watched it, and that's, I'm going to be honest, that's that's Disney's fault for how they've rolled it out. But so yeah, it just feels really strange. I mean, we've got the Latin launch coming up on, I think it's like November the 17th. Busy week that week. I don't know what. There's a couple of other things coming out that week that might keep people entertained if you manage to get one. Yeah. Did you get your PlayStation 4 pre-order in? Or PlayStation 5?
I'm PlayStation 5. No, I'm not planning on getting a PlayStation. I think the current console cycle, the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4 is my last. I'm not done with games, but I don't know. The consoles, they're collecting dust, honestly.
Yeah, so no, I was now. Midnight got mine in. Right, nevertheless, and you can watch Disney Plus on PlayStation 5 because you get a little remote with the little Disney Plus logo on it. But nevertheless, moving on from there, thank you very much for joining us. Make sure again you check us out over on our YouTube channel as well. Make sure you subscribe if you're there, or on audio platforms you can find us and listen to us while you're at the gym or driving to school or whatever. And we shall see you guys in another episode. Later.